number one. Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Just a couple of quick reminders. Please mute yourselves when you are not asking a question. Please only ask one question at a time. No follow-ups or questions in multiple parts. And if you could please say your name and outlet before your first question, that would be appreciated. All right. First question goes to Salvador.
Right, thank you, Melissa, Christina, Celia, for doing this. And you three have three different paths through Star Trek, because Melissa has a completely new character. Christina has a character with some baggage in her name, although it's new, and Celia has his huge legacy to live up to. So I was wondering, what kind of research did you do when you entered this world to inhabit those roles?
Sure. So the great thing about Ortegas is that it's like a brand new character. And so what I really looked into was like, the history of helmsmen and helms officers and pilots and navigators in Star Trek. And I'm always like, nothing's going to happen unless the ship can fly. So I took that very seriously. And they wrote this incredible character that's confident, skilled, and yet also is so confident that she's able to also really have this great rapport with her crew members on the bridge, even when we're in a chase, and when we're dodging around black holes and all sorts of craziness. And so I just kind of really let that guide me, and a big part of my homework was learning how the ship runs and taking that very seriously, and then also having just really great camaraderie with my crew, which is real because the cast is just wonderful to be around. And I think that comes off on screen.
For me, as a new Star Trek fan, I literally immersed myself in the original series and Wrath of Khan as well. So anything that had, and there's not actually that much on Khan, but I watched everything I could of him. And also watched Discovery, because obviously I wanted to know who we were working with. So I watched Discovery's season 1 and 2. And then other than that, it was more, actually I did ask, friends and who were Trekkies, first getting the script, I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea what any of these things are, these words mean. So that was another element of it. And then other than that, it was just delving into my past and seeing what I could bring up from my past and my life in order to personalize that for La'an.
Yeah, I had a wealth of knowledge about this character when I figured out who she was. I really had, I think the homework of it was like deciding like when was the time to stop looking to other people for this character. I had to decide like, okay, I am now either learning too much and getting in my head about her future, when yes, of course, her future is important, but the cadet that I'm playing, this young Uhura, she has no idea what's in store for her. And so I had to sort of receive a bunch of information and then throw it all out the window and have an understanding of like how she carries herself and things that are innately her, but then understand that the Uhura that is beloved in this franchise is the person that she's growing into. It's not who she is today. And so there are going to be parts of young Uhura that are sort of unrecognizable. And then as you see the experiences and the opportunities that mold her and the relationships that she has with this incredible crew that influence her, it's a walk. It's not a marathon. I mean, actually, no, it's a marathon, not a sprint. There we go. And so it's been awesome to know that this character has a wealth of information that I can fall back on if I ever feel lost, but it's also taking the time to personalize it and bring my own Celia isms to this incredibly beloved, iconic role.
Thanks so much. Great answers.
All right. Our next question goes to Kit.
Hey everybody, Kit Stone, the Black Cape. One thing I love about sci-fi in general is the amount of characters you could get in a series or a film. And what I love is that whether it's an alien, a monster, or whatever, there's always someone you can connect to. The characters you're portraying, how different or similar are they to who you are in real life?
I would say my character, one of the on the breakdown, we didn't know it was Star Trek. Well, I didn't know it was Star Trek, but on the breakdown, it was, chief of security or something like that. and she has PTSD and and all these things, and she's she's very professional and a bit guarded. And I had been diagnosed with recently to the audition. I had been diagnosed with PTSD, and I was like, oh, I can do that. I can use that. But I think in a way, I love the similarity that she's very physical. I'm an ex-dancer. I do parkour, kung fu, all that kind of stuff. I have a martial arts background. But also the fact that I in general am quite a vulnerable person, but I do put this wall up a lot of, if I'm very comfortable and close with people, you'll see the real kind of like the full me come out. But in general, there's an element of, a wall, that we all put up, right? But I think deep down, I think that's that playing with that vulnerability and the strength and hard shell of La'an was something that I found very kind of, it came naturally to me.
I like to say that Ortegas is like the cooler version of me in the future. Like if I had cooler future version me would be Ortegas. Like she's, she takes her work very seriously and does it really well. And I was really excited to be able to portray a character that is Latina. That's my background. And so I flew a plane once. I took one flying lesson. And so I was just like, now I need to like really look into that. But stepping into this role, like I was really big in the whole, like how to fly a starship. And so the great thing is that the writers and the producers, they gave us this ability to really like put ourselves into the characters. And so you see that throughout. And I think that also makes the characters and our interactions even more real and genuine, because you see how much we like each other genuinely. But for me, yeah, it's just basically like everything that I would like to be, Ortegas is. And then in all those ways too, where she like doesn't really wear her heart on her sleeve. Like she's been through a lot. She's a combat veteran. So I also have like a fight background, a martial arts background. And you get to see that in the episodes, which I was very happy that the writers were able to work all that in. But you get to see all these kind of layers kind of, fade away. And so for the audience, they're going to get to see all these different aspects of Ortegas as the season continues. And we're right now filming season 2. And so like super big things to come.
Yeah. Speaking of season 2, I think so much of, there are a lot of similarities between Celia, myself, and Cadet Uhura. We both lost family in incredibly traumatic ways. We both are very young in our field and are still sort of questioning, like, how did we get here? How are we going to navigate this space? And so I often say that like the writers definitely have one-on-ones with my therapist trying to find like, what of me can I bring to this character? But no, it's like Melissa said, we have incredible writers and this cast and this crew is incredible. And so you feel very safe. I feel very safe being able to sort of tell stories that like even Celia hasn't really been able to share. And so it's incredibly cathartic and incredibly, it's incredibly humbling. There's the word. But yeah, it's really cool to play a character whose life sort of imitates and lives in a space that is so close to your own, because there are some times when I go home from set that I'm like, did I act at all today? Or did I just tell the truth the whole time? And so, yeah, the challenge for me has been very much that, trying to remember that I'm playing a character and not Celia, because there's so much of us that overlap and intersect.
All right, our next question goes to Robert.
Good afternoon, Robert Littell, BSO Entertainment. The question is for all of you guys. You talked a little bit about how you became immersed in the Star Trek mythology and everything like that. Who are you guys' favorite OG Star Trek character? And how would you like your character to be perceived? And, what type of memorable thing about your character that you think the Trekkies are going to really remember about your performance here in this?
So one of the...
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, saying I have a really easy one. Uhura herself. Yeah, go ahead, Melissa.
I was going to say Commander Riker, which is funny because a lot of people, like when Ortegas, even like before they knew I booked it and like, the breakdowns had gotten out and fans got the breakdowns, they were like, this sounds like a Riker character. And so for me, watching The Next Generation growing up, like I used to always, like I had a little bit of a crush on Riker. And he was just like, he was just like fun, competent, and, like in charge, like things got done. And so now to like, for everyone to be like, Ortegas is the Riker of the crew, I'm like, you can't, like, how does that happen? Like, so I would say Riker.
I would go with Spock because it's been, obviously because I have quite a close relationship with Spock in this season as well. It's so cool to see, the before, see Ethan create the before Spock. And he's just so iconic, I mean, even being a new Star Trek fan, everyone knows who Spock is, So for me, it would be Spock. And to be remembered, I don't know how I would like La'an's fierceness and her braids to be remembered.
All right, our next question goes to Ashley. Ashley, are you with us?
I think we've lost an Ashley.
I think we have. All right, our next question then goes to Rafael.
Okay. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Guys, Star Trek has always dealt with diversity since day one. No, but I wanted to know from you guys living this experience, what it's like to see so many women in important roles, and how does it affect on your performances?
Sure. I think one of the things when the casting came out and they kind of announced the crew, there was a few people that they're like, wow, there are more women than men. And it was so interesting because I'm like, but the fact that like we're noticing that, like that should be a thing where we don't notice, and I think the cast that they've assembled is again, I'm super biased because I love the cast, but they've assembled this wonderful cast where you don't even notice the fact that there's more women than men, more men than women on the bridge. They've also done this really great thing with our uniforms, where we still have like the pantsuits and we also have the tunics. And this great conversation I had with Rebecca, where like Rebecca was like, you should still be able to like fight and perform and be awesome in your Starfleet tunic as you will be in pants. And so there's this great kind of like just blending of like we're all the same and different. And then in terms of diversity, I was really happy to be auditioning for a role of a Latina. I'm Latina, and to be able to kind of to bring my own experience into that, and then go to space, like you can't beat that as an actor, as a person. Like I'm living a dream here.
Yeah, for me, I'm aware of how amazing it is that we do have more women than men in the main cast, but it wasn't something I was actually conscious of on set. And when I found out the cast is so, it's not something, like Melissa said, it's not something that it just feels natural and normal, yeah. Which is amazing privilege to have. Well, no, it shouldn't be a privilege, actually. It should be that way. But to be able to have that, and I think, as you say, it's been from day one, it's all been about diversity. And I think, I guess, knowing that and watching the original series, it just felt normal that, of course, we're going to have an array of men, women, everyone included in that. So, and likewise, being from being Chinese, it's amazing to have such a non-stereotypical character to play.
Nichelle's history in the sci-fi community, but also in the entertainment community, she was I'm pretty sure she was the first Black woman to play a role of non-servitude in television history. And the fact that took place in the genre of sci-fi, I think is so groundbreaking. But I'm someone, I didn't think about the sort of the number of men versus the number of women on the bridge. I'm a huge fan of women leading. I think that's the way it should be. But I am it's so exciting. Like it means the world to me to be a part of a group like this and to continue open doors for coming casts and upcoming iterations of Trek, and to fall into line in this way, it feels really, really cool. And I am excited for the rest of the world to get used to something that looks like this, because Star Trek has been doing this for years. And the fact that people are like, how could this have happened? The material has been here for several decades. And so it just feels really good to continue that history.
Yeah, and the bridge is really a representation of the world as it is.
Yeah.
And so that is huge for us to be bringing to the screen, and for so many people who watched Star Trek growing up and now are like in, you know, who are engineers and who are working at NASA and you know, who are sending satellites and ships to space. You know, it's you know, there's a whole history to it, but we're super proud to be a part of it, small part of it.
Great.
Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have. Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions. Please say your goodbyes and make your way out of the Zoom room.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Thank you.